I'm going to talk right now. It's about Backbone and Marionette. I think there's really two schools of when you're writing programming. I'm a programmer, just so that you know, right? I've been writing code for a long time now. And the first school is that I'll do it on my own. I don't need a framework. And it's pretty good, especially when you're starting off, I think, because that's how you learn how things are. And the second school is when you become, I think, maybe a little bit older and lazy. You're like, I'm going to use a framework because it solves things for me. Now, so what inspired me a little bit is what Jad was using in his presentation and the part where handling DOM events. And it was very interesting because I realized something that Backbone does that makes handling the events a little bit easier, right? So now when you want to handle an event, you have to create the thing that Jad did. Right. I think Derek does not use Backbone. Okay. All right. So okay. So Backbone is an MVC, which is MV star, which is in the model view star. It's only for the front end, it's not for the back end. The point of Backbone is that it provides you with tools and in order for you not to do boilerplate stuff. It's not the only one, just for you to know. There's tons of them out there. There's Ember, there's Angular, there's a lot. The reason why I personally use Backbone is just because it gives me much more freedom to do whatever I want. Basically, it's very modular, so you can pick Backbone's router, or you can pick another router just and plug it in. So this is why I kind of like to have this freedom. I can pick whatever template engine I want. I can do the views whichever way I want. Now, just another thing, there's, I'm not gonna talk, actually, not right now. Okay, so the thing is that everything, okay, here we have this page, right? This is Backbone's page. If you notice, there are two parts in this page. There's this left part and there's the right part, okay? These are really two different sections in your website. Now imagine this is your navigation, okay? And imagine I'm doing a, let's say, social network, and what I have here is lists of my friends. I have two lists, like close friends, or people I like, and people I don't like. And now when you click on one of them, what's gonna happen is that the content over here is gonna change based on the people that you have. The cool thing about using single-page apps is that they make it easier for you to change the content somewhere without doing anything, really. Actually, I think this would make a bit sense. This was the startup I co-founded a while back. And so here's the thing, right? You have the menu up there, but you have a map in here. And what's going to happen when you click on something is that, actually, no, that's a bad one. Okay. What happened is that this part gets changed based on where I am. So the trick is simple. The server's job is to read my database and send me data. That's it. If this database sends JSON. The client's job, regardless of what it is figure out what to do with this data, what to do with the JSON. It has to figure out how to display it, because think about it. Client means it can be this small screen, it can be this big screen, it can be your smartphone, it can be a TV, Google TV, Apple TV, whatever, okay? So it's the client's job to figure out how to display this data. Now, Backbone is one of those MVCs that give you the power to actually do this. So what would happen in this case, you have the thing called views, and the view is gonna display things. Now, the example I wanted to give, let me try again. Okay, oh, that's a good, okay. So here it is. What basically is happening is that, let's say this is the view that's handling the main part, the part on the right. And let's say that this view's job is to figure out what's gonna happen in here. It's also this view's job to handle events. So the nice part about Backbone, if you remember the one that Jad was doing, in which he was doing on key press, and then he had this function. So the equivalent is this in Backbone. You're saying, when I have whatever, it can be key press, in this case it's click, you're gonna invoke this function. And this function is a function that's in your code, like in this case, well, All right, they didn't display them, you know. And if you remember what the other Jad, oh, okay, I messed around with the Jad. If you remember what the first Jad was saying, you'll notice that this is actually an object, a JSON object, you know, because the view everything here are actually objects. So all I want to say in the remainder of this talk is simple, that just imagine that on top of, this is one example of how Backbone can make your life easier when you're writing your code. There's a lot of other things that happen there, and there are even libraries built on top of Backbone that even remove even more boilerplate. So if you are interested in having frameworks helping you writing your front-end web code, I would really recommend that. If you don't want to do Backbone, just go to todomvc.com. And you'll see the list. You'll see the list of MVCs you can do. If you feel like it, you can try them all. If you don't, you could just go for the first 3 because they're the most famous. I'll give you a quick overview. Backbone is the oldest one. Is the first one that was created. Oldest, like 3 years, not that much. Angular is created by Google. They are backing it. Ember is created by the guys who did Rails. So if you're a Rails guy, it might make sense that you use Ember because there's so much patterns that are taken from Rails and put into Ember. So that's pretty cool. Knockout being the last one, I think interesting one is MVVM pattern. If you're a Windows person, you might have heard of this pattern, so it would make sense for you. So there's no one way of doing it. I have my personal preferences and just have been using it for the past year. But if you really are building huge apps, I would recommend that you try using MVCs. And if you are interested in Backbone and in Marionette, which is something I use on top of Backbone, then why don't you pick the workshop I'm going to be giving after I come back? So, so that's it. Sorry for it being short, and thank you very much.